Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Ron. It's Monday, a little after 6 p.m. So we'll get started here, see if we have any questions. Beautiful day. It's been a beautiful weekend here in the upstate South Carolina. And I hope it's been nice wherever you are as well. But see if we have any questions to start off. We on yesterday, mainly we spoke from a question that that Kathy had brought up about the disciples in relationship to what had been discussed about Jesus and his disciples in relationship to pastor and the teachers and what where does that leave us and brought in pastor talking about the number 12 and laying some uh, groundwork for that and discussing that as well. And I don't, as you know, remember all the details of it, but are there any questions from anybody from what we discussed yesterday? Because that led to a whole different discussion. It's to look at some other things as well. Anything from yesterday or anything else that may have grabbed your attention the last day or so?
This is Vermel.
Hey,
Good
Mel.
evening. Um, my question, and there may have already been an answer to this, from the statement that Jesus is not a real person, and then the question was asked about his writings in the Bible. I want to make sure I have this correct. So when I'm reading the red, I'm reading for, I'm leaving out the, we should leave out the proper names and read for the understanding of the rest of the words. Am I correct?
Pastor, would you like to address that, please?
Um, when you read in the red, read it the same way you've always read it.
Okay.
As far as making an effort to glean the esoteric meaning of it, that's why we are here. And when I say that's the reason we are here, I'm talking about that is the reason we teach. It's no different than the idea of the Ethiopian eunuch saying, how can I understand without a teacher? Whether it is Kemet or whether it is the Bible, everyone had to have a teacher in order to understand. And that was the primary purpose of the Kemetic priesthood, was to teach the population as well as each other. So the red, yes, because there are a lot of things that are in the red that's attributed to what Jesus said, or directly out of Kemet, with some changes having been made for the purpose of control. So again, I want to reiterate this. That is the reason we teach. And that is the reason we do our research, we cross-reference stuff, we talk to each other, and there are times when we are teaching and one of us will say, well, I don't quite see it that way, or I see it a little differently. And then when it's presented, the other one says, you know what, that does make more sense. Thank you. That's what we do. And why am I telling you this? Because I cannot say it too much, that if you start trying to cross-reference, you're going to run into so many different things. And I know what you've been told, that you are to study the scriptures for yourself. If you want to do that, that's fine. But if you want understanding, you have to understand the wisdom of the scriptures. And if you want the truth about how it was supposed to be in the beginning, it was the teachers or the priesthood teaching teaching the population. There are those who feel like they can do their own research, have at it. That's fine. However, we will answer your questions as much as possible, but there's so much stuff out there that does not make sense, that has nothing to do with truth. And we have done it so long until we understand which sources to refrain from using. So my suggestion to you is that you continue to read as you always have. And if you have questions from the scriptures, please raise them. Does that help you, Vermeer? And I hope it helps everyone else as well.
Helps tremendously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay.
Are there questions from last time? Or any questions?
Doesn't matter what it is, guys. If there anybody have any questions at all? Comments? Okay. I am going to do something a bit different tonight. I'm going to read something, then I want you to hear something. Then I want to talk about what we feel, okay? This is a little different. I'm at the book of Habakkuk, right? I'm going to read four verses, and then I'm going to read God's response to him. Kathy taught this some years ago, and I never forgot this. This is probably one of my favorite books because I really think it paints a picture as to what we see today, where we are today. So listen to this. This is the oracle which Habakkuk, the prophet, saw. How long, O Lord, will I call for help, and thou wilt not hear? And thou wilt not hear. I cry out to thee violence, yet thou dost not save. Why dost thou make me see iniquity and cause me to look on my wickedness? Yes, destruction and violence are before me. Strife exists and contention arises. Therefore, the Lord is ignored and justice is never upheld. The wicked surrounds the righteous. Therefore, justice comes out perverted. That's the first four verses. I'm going to go to chapter 2. That's Habakkuk calling out to God. Here's what God says. I will stand on the guard post and station myself on the rampart, and I will keep watch to see what he will speak. God starts responding in verse 2, excuse me. God starts responding in verse 2. This is still Habakkuk speaking in 2 and 1. I will stand on my guard post and station myself on the rampart, and I will keep watch to see what he will speak to me and how I may reply when I am reproved. Then the Lord answered me and said, record the vision and inscribe it on your tablets, that the one who reads it may run. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens towards the goal, and it will not fail. Though it tarry, wait for it, for it will certainly come. It will not delay. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Again, the book of Habakkuk. I want you to hear something. Then I have a question for you. I'm going to turn my volume up to make sure this comes out as clear as possible.
Ron, are you
Hello,
speaking?
my name is Umnia, and I'm 21 years old. I'm currently in Sudan, and I make videos as someone who's still living in the war. This is probably the hardest video I will ever have to make because it's the anniversary of our war. It's been a year of ruthless violence, a year of death, a year of an apocalypse. No words in any dictionary, in any language, can ever be able to describe the horror.
Ron, you're frozen.
Yeah, it's buffering. I'm trying to move it to different areas and see if I can get it to play. I apologize.
Ron, I have it. I have it.
You have it?
Yep.
Okay.
Did she say she's in Sudan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Pastor.
Uh-huh. I'm having the same problem you having, Ron. It's buffering.
Maybe I'm not supposed to do this then.
Well, maybe not. But I think that the gist of it is her
Hold on
talking.
one second.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna try it again.
5 million people struggle with acute hunger. And death is, I don't even know. I don't even know how many people have died and how many people are still dying. But let me paint an image for you. Migratory birds have changed the route so they can come to Khartoum and feed on corpses. Khartoum, my city, my home, where I lived for 21 years, have become a haven for dogs to breed due to how many corpses are rotting over there. Cemeteries are filled to the brim. There are mass graves inside neighborhoods. My people are not comfortable, dead or alive. We can still not honor our dead. For a whole year, I've been homeless. I've lost more than 5 family members. I've lost my home, my life assets, everything that we ever owned. My parents have worked for 40 years to provide for us, to build our house, to buy their cars, to do everything. And in a split of one day, they lost everything. Just last year, I had just graduated from uni. I was interning. I just started my life and I had hopes and dreams like any of you. And now I'm not even sure if I'm alive. Because how are we alive when we lost everything that makes us human? When we lost our homes, when we lost our friends, when we lost our families, when we lost our life? Like, is this life? Is this living? Is just living? Is living just breathing? Because I sure as hell don't feel like I'm alive. And I'm sick and tired of it. I'm not gonna ask you to do anything anymore. I don't want anything from any of you. I'm making those videos just for our pain to be acknowledged. I've lost hope in this world. I don't think anything will change. I don't think this world will stop. I don't think my people will ever be free. But I will not let you be comfortable as you turn a blind eye to our suffering. I will keep reminding you over and over that my people are getting killed for your gold. Times and times, Africans have been butchered and genocided for the benefit of the West. And enough of that. We are no longer stupid. We are no longer ignorant. We see through you. We see through your games. We see through your proxy wars. We see through those made up conflicts that you have created in our continent so you can take our resources. I will not let you be comfortable. The RSF are a genocidal militia that is funded and aided by the UAE, Israel, and Russia so they can plunder our resources and take our gold. Hello, everyone. My name is Umnia, and I'm 21 years old.
Okay. It would be senseless to ask you how you feel about that. That's evident to feel her pain. Something's wrong if you don't feel her pain. What I thought about though, when I read that is when I read Habakkuk, or what part of Habakkuk do you identify with? What resonates more with you when you hear that? Did it resonate more the Habakkuk who cries out to God, or did it resonate more in you the answer that God gives? What direction? Or do you understand what I'm asking?
Not exactly. Can you rephrase it?
Okay, I'm gonna read it again, Audrey, then I'll try to. The oracle of which Habakkuk the prophet saw. How long, O Lord, will I call for help and thou wilt not hear? I cry out to thee violence, yet thou dost not save. Why dost thou make me see iniquities and cause me to look on wickedness? Yes, destruction and violence are before me. Strife exists and contention arises. Therefore, the law is ignored and justice is never upheld. For the wicked surrounds the righteous. Therefore, justice comes out perverted. And then Habakkuk said, I will stand on my guard post and station myself on the rampart, and I will keep watch to see what he will speak to me and how I may reply when I am reproved. But here's what God said. Then the Lord answered me and said, record the vision and inscribe it on tablets, that the one who reads it may run. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens toward the goal, and it will not fail. Though it tarries, wait for it will certainly come. It will not delay. That's God's answer to him. I
Ron,
guess what I'm saying, yes, ma'am.
what I hear in that is the difference between where I was in my thinking a year ago, 6 months ago, really, and where I am today. And I hear in her passion what we continuously see and say, not just in the last year, but over the years as a people. But not just that, the passion of those crying out in Sudan and Palestine, everywhere where people are crying out. That's what I hear in her. But what I hear when the one who created all speaks is hold fast, stay the course. You know what the vision is. Now that you know what the vision is, now that you know what part you are of that vision, stand still. It will come to pass, even if it tarries. So I hear the hope in that.
Yeah.
And I just put in a macro that those people who don't have that hope just grasp it from what we can put in the macro. That's what we've got to do. They've got to have something to hang on to until they know who they are.
Speaking, I think inside of me is a fear that's being uprooted, and it's been there for a very long time. And the fear is older than my years. And so when I hear things, when I see things, that fear rises up first and says, you can't do this. You know that. Yeah, you're not the same person, but you can't do this. But something is overtaking that fear. And although I still wrestle with it, my hope is greater now. The fear is still there, and I have to bring it into submission. But I don't think there's anything that we can't do. So I identify with both sides of Habakkuk. On the one side, yeah, there is the voice that feels helpless when I hear that girl cry. What can I do? There is that part of me that says, oh, what can I do? How can I help her? That's my pain. But there's the other side that says, look who you are. See the vision. You are the vision. What have you been working towards? So to me, her cry reminds us that there is no distance between us and her. There is no time. There are no barriers between us. We are her pain and we are her joy. And as Barb said, we put this out in the macro, and we breathe, and we do what we know to do, and we trust these cries, because she represents the voice of the whole globe. If you are not European, you are crying somewhere. And this touched me. Pastor sent this to me a few days ago, and it really messed with me. And I kind of debated whether or not to play it, but I thought that if anybody can hear this and change the energy of it, it's us. So thank you for sharing, but I also like to know how you feel about it.
Hey, Ron.
This is Ramel. Go ahead. I defer.
What I was hearing, she was crying for all the people in her motherland, and not only just for herself, she was letting everybody know what is going on. That who can hear, let them hear. And to me, it tears something up on the inside of you, or what she was saying. And I know how you feel, Ron, about what can you do but just keep seeking the Father to get this be the right way, or is this in our hands to deal with the situation, and what way can we deal with it? But one way to take it to the Father.
Yeah. Thank you, Charles.
This is Ramel. She makes me feel like she's crying out for the multitudes of individuals who don't know, who are feeling lost and alone in the struggle. But I also feel like I hear the strength of the ancestors in her, that in spite of this, I'm just not going to quit. I'm going to stand here and be a reminder to the multitudes of those raping the world that we're in this to the end. That's kind of that's how she makes me feel, like the sorrow, the sadness, but in the same, it's created this strength that is unbelievable.
Yeah. Thank you, Ramel.
I agree with Vermel. And I'm glad you brought it up, because with all the focus on Palestine and Gaza, we forget about there's war in Sudan, there's war in Congo,
Yeah.
there's war in Nigeria. all the places we forget about. And it's good to bring it back to our remembrance. But I agree with you, Vermel, that you can hear her strength, even though she says she's given up hope.
Yeah.
She hasn't. You can hear it in her voice that she hasn't. And she herself is putting things into the macro, just in speaking to us, speaking to
Yes.
our hearts. So yeah, and hopefully we will take it and put it into the macro for others too.
I agree. I agree. Thank you.
I agree too.
Yeah.
I think this discussion is putting it in the macro, you know,
Yes.
by
Yes.
virtue of discussing it. It's almost like this is a reminder, because the only wars that we pay any attention to, seemingly, like, are the wars that's on TV. The wars that's broadcast through the major news channels. And the major ones actually are truly most ruthless ones are omitted. You don't see the scenes from them on TV. If this were Israel doing what Israel normally does, attacking Palestine, without what happened on October the 7th, you wouldn't hear about it. What they're doing in Palestine now, they've always done. It's just more ruthless now than what it has been in the past. But those people did not cross that border on October 7th without a reason. Now, do I think that they should have done what they did the way they did it? No, I don't. I think it was ruthless. However, I think it's just as ruthless for Israel to use the Palestinian kids for target practice from those towers. That's ruthless. So what I'm saying in essence is this: if they had not crossed that border, Israel would still be killing Palestinians and you would not hear about it. It's just that simple. And that is the reason we don't hear about any other wars that involve people of color that's being financed by the US, Russia, or China. I'm done.
Thank you, Pastor.
That was something that some things we talked about yesterday.
Mhm.
But I think this really speaks to the whole concept of femininity. Think about, she's in Sudan. She has no clue who her message reached. She has no clue that that message is the center of discussion for a group of people whose express goal is to bring balance and civility to the earth. And I am saying that this message was brought to us by the Creator from the mouth of a female who has actually birthed a newfound compassion and empathy for a people who has been ignored for so long. I think it's important also that she spoke about the gold instead of oil. Because when she says gold, it tells us or reminds us that the reason for the genocidal actions of the invaders from day one has been gold. They were seeking gold or silver. And when we talk about wealth and greed, gold is an example of that. And our approach to her message and the messages that we've heard from within ourselves and from each other gives us, hopefully, a renewed courage and a deeper desire to root out of the earth the attitude, the mental attitude of greedy, uncivilized barbarians, so that mankind can be in a peaceful setting, can be in a setting where equality is not a question, but a reality. A setting where no one is brutalized, murdered, or otherwise harmed in order to settle someone's greedy urges.
Yeah.
That's our goal. Those are our goals.
Yeah.
And so I'm very grateful that not only did I hear it, but I shared it, because it touched me deeply when I heard it. Matter of fact, I teared up when I heard it, because I felt her hurt. I felt her anger.
Yeah.
I felt her empathy for those who are going through this. I felt her courage, as Audrey said earlier. Out of all she said, in spite of her asking, is this living? Which alludes to, is there any hope to be had? I think her courage that came through has her holding to at least a sliver of hope. And we have that seed of that sliver of hope that we can use to impregnate our desires, so that hope can birth a knowing within her that this too is coming to an end, regardless of how long it's been out there. There hasn't been, to my knowledge anyway, a group of people who have spent as much time as we have researching and seeking to understand the esoterical meanings of the scriptures, as well as the message that came out of Kemet. I believe that with this group, whether it is 10 today or 25 tomorrow, it doesn't matter. With this group, the desires speak much louder than the evil. And because of who we are, because the Creator has done something that I have never seen in the earth, or neither have I read anything about it. The Creator has brought everything to the forefront. All of the chaos around the globe is being exposed at one time. All the racism is being exposed. The racism of the European and the racism of the Chinese is being exposed. The racism of the African is being exposed. Because there are those, the Chinese and the Africans, who believe in the American dream, which means that they believe in greed and doing whatever it takes to get what you want. We need to be careful when we talk about living the American dream. We need to know what we are talking about. We also need to know what we are talking about when we say that we want to be like Christ. Because the same people who have murdered us over the years say the same thing. So what does that mean to you? It doesn't mean what they say, I know. But know this, what it means to you is that you want to be the messianic being that our ancestors were in this world for the express purpose of bringing balance. We can't do that if we fail to recognize and reverence the ancestors who have guided us thus far, the mercy that they have shown us while we were traveling this journey, believing that we were being guided by the source of Christianity without even knowing that that source was the crux of our problems, our issues, the root of it. Our ancestors have always been there. And it is imperative that we recognize it. And if you're struggling with it, that's understandable, because all of our lives, the church and everyone else has told us that, and recognizing and reverencing the ancestors is ancestor worship when it really isn't. So take it as you will, but I suggest strongly that we embrace what we are learning, what we are seeing, what we are being shown, what we're experiencing. Because out of all the other things that we have tried, the other things that we have engaged in, none of them have brought us to this place of understanding the mysteries, not of so much the Gospels, but the mysteries of Kemet, the mysteries of spirituality. And when you understand the mysteries of spirituality, you become that mystery, because you become well aware of your true nature, and that is your true spiritual essence. And again, it's not lost on me that these words came from the lips of one who represents in this earth feminine energy, a womb. In her womb, we place our seed of desire so it can be birthed into peace in her heart as well as in her environment. Thank you.
And so it is.
So it is. I'm sorry, Audrey, are you gonna say something?
I just had a quick comment.
Okay.
Charles, you were saying how she felt the, I guess she had the strength of her ancestors. Well, and she was crying out for her motherland. Well, to me, that's our motherland too, because that's where we come from. And because we have those memories of our ancestors, I think that's part of why we feel her so deeply, because she is essentially a part of us because we all we have the same ancestors. And I think that is why we feel her so deeply, because we are of that land too. And we are of those ancestors too. So we feel her. She's a part of us.
We have never lost our African consciousness. It's been suppressed, but it has not been deleted from our souls. It's been denigrated, and we have been, at one time, we, not just individuals on this phone, but we have embraced it. The idea that we're not Africans, simply because we were stolen and enslaved and forced to build a country called America. That does not mean that we are not Africans. When we are able to do as was done by Marcus Garvey, and that is remind all Africans in the diaspora all over the world that you are not Jamaicans or Americans. You are not Cubans or Puerto Ricans. You are Africans who has been transplanted to a different place. And that transplantation of us was brutal in nature, but beneficial to the whole world. Because by virtue of us knowing that if nothing else connects us, our ancestors do, and with our deep desires to rise up and be who we were created to be, the deep desires that I'm experiencing day in and day out from the people on Zoom, on this group, those experiences are being shared worldwide with other Africans. And the power of that sharing and the power of that influence is being seen on college campuses right now. That influence is moving otherwise unconcerned people to a place of being concerned about humanity. I say that because if the African is not concerned, no one else will be. If the most spiritual people on this earth, if the first people to occupy this earth are not concerned, then no one else will be. Our concern is not just for the African, but for our offspring as well. It's incumbent upon us to transform hearts and minds. We have taken the task upon our shoulders to create in this earth an environment just as the environment is in the spiritual realm, meaning that our spiritual consciousness and earth consciousness must match. And we are bringing into existence a new heaven a new earth. A new heaven is a renewal of our awareness of the enlightenment, the wisdom, the knowledge that we are. Our new earth is an awareness of the consciousness of the earth being transformed into a consciousness that is inclusive of humanity as well as nature itself. That's who we are. And as I said earlier, if the African doesn't do it, it won't be done. We were brought here for one reason in the minds of others. But that nation that was born on the waters is a nation that no one expected to flourish. It's a nation that lost its way in many ways. It is a nation who's finding its footing now. It is a nation that's recognizing its essence, its power, its obligations. A nation that had occupied the earth for more than 4 million years in physical form, but in spiritual form ever since everything came into existence. That nation that was forged on the waters was forged for a reason, to live in the midst of chaos, to understand the nature of chaos for the express purpose of bringing order to it. We are not here to live an American dream, because that would make us greedy murderers. We are here to change the mindset of this earth. We are the creators. We were told to dominate. And dominating means that we must overpower everything that's antithetical to life itself. It's our mandate to dominate. Everywhere there is a dark corner, bring light to it. Everywhere there is evil, bring life to it. That's our mandate. We accept that mandate. Embracing something that many of us forget too often. Embracing the order of things, embracing the way we are wired in this earth. What are the order of things? How are we wired? When we talked yesterday about how the blood flows from left to right and how the masculine and feminine energy functions, that's how we are wired. We must recognize that we are no different in terms of our mandate for bringing order than those animals in the wild that has the order that we showed them, but we gave them. And that order that we gave them is the order that we followed until the invasions, the invasion into the Kushite kingdom, more specifically Kemet. If you look at, and we've talked about this, the elephants, if the male elephant is not in the fold or in the herd, all the male elephants go crazy. They tear things up. They become brutal, dangerous. Reintroduce the male into the herd, and everything calms down, everything becomes stable. Yet, it is not the male who leads the herd. It is not the male who makes decisions about the herd. It is the female who leads the herd, who guides the herd, who make the decisions about for the herd. Same thing with the pride of lions. It is the female lion that does the hunting, the female lion that makes the decisions about the pride and is weakened when there is no male presence in terms of the male lion. So all of the attributes that we see in the animals came from us. We are the ones, the gods of this earth, who gave these attributes to these animals, yet we allowed ourselves to be disconnected from our roots. And we became a chaotic male-dominant society. We allowed ourselves to lose sight of our presence in this earth and for what purpose. We allowed ourselves to do that. But now that is over. Yes, maleness brings stability. That energy, that feminine energy brings guidance. That feminine energy brings courage and encouragement. None of that works without stability. So it takes the masculine and feminine energy to be one in this earth and to bring about the order that's necessary. And all of us have both. But all of us are not dominated by both. We think about homosexuality when you read the history of indigenous people, especially in America. Those who were homosexual, whether it was females or males, were seen as people to be reverenced because they saw them as having both energies, which means that they saw them as being whole. We have denigrated things to the point where the things that should be reverenced is now trodden under our feet. And the things that should be trodden under our feet, we reverence. It's been turned upside down. It is time for us to recognize that we are the only ones who can turn it the way it needs to be, it should be turned. We can bring it back to the place where it was. We have entered the libraries of Kemet. The books were burned, but the energy wasn't. The people were murdered, but the souls wasn't. We now are seeing things that we never saw before. And that is because we have relinquished our processing to our ancestors. We have closed our eyes and allowed our ancestors to open our eye. We refuse to follow what we see with our eyes, and we refuse to leave behind what we see with our eye. We will no longer ignore it. We are here to stay. And because we are here to stay, humanity is here to stay. There is no doubt in my mind. As I used to say in college, there's no doubt in my African mind that we are closer to order than we are to chaos. There is no doubt that the reason we were led back to Kemet is so that we could start at the beginning and bring from the beginning everything that needs to be a beginning in this time period. So humanity can cease to be what? Can cease to be manipulated. So humanity can become what it was created to be. And the way it does that is when the African creates in its image and its likeness. And I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking about spirituality. I'm talking about the ability to think spiritually, to function spiritually, to be the spirit of everything that is. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Ron. And
Hey,
everyone.
George, how you
This is
doing?
George.
Yes.
George,
Hey.
you know, and you're reading Habakkuk, yeah, and you refer to.
George, would you
chapter
speak up a
2.
little bit?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Ron, I wanted to respond to what you read in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, and I wanted to reread it in the Message Bible, only
Yeah,
because.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's all good because in terms of you mentioned the appointed time. And in verses 2 and 3, I just want to read it. And
Okay.
I think it's speaking on the heart soul of what you were able to give us in terms of what our sister, mentioned. And it says, and then God answered, write this, write what you see. Write it out in big block letters so that it can be read on the run. The vision message is a witness pointing to what's coming. It aches for the coming. It can hardly wait. And it does not lie. If it seems slow in coming, wait. It's on the way. It will come right on time. And
Yeah.
I believe where we are being ushered into in terms of the Cushite and the Kemetic teachings is the heart soul cry that we're hearing universally. But at the same time, it's resonating with me in terms of today. And I just wanted to look at it in terms of numerology spiritually for a moment, because it talks about the 5 elements of earth, air, fire, water, and ether. What is this? What does it mean? It talks about the number of manifestations. It talks about aligning ourselves to the freedom, aligning ourselves to pursue which our heart and purpose is seeking, and it's a doing number, and it's faith in action, but at the same time it talks about the synergy of the forces of nature. So I wanted to just share those thoughts, because I believe we're right where we are pointed to be, and the manifestations of our desires is not only have been put out in the macro, but is manifesting. So I just wanted to share those thoughts. And thanks for letting me share those things. I'm done. There's not any questions.
Thank you.
Beautifully said, George. Beautifully said. Thank you. I was going to read from the Message Bible as well, because I like the way it's written. I like that first verse 2 in chapter 2, George. He says, what God's going to say to my question, I'm braced for the worst. I'll climb to the lookout tower and scan the horizon. I'll wait to see what God says and how he'll answer my complaint. When I started this off, I talked about my fear. My fear is always, this is too big for you, Ron. This is too big for you. And when I listened to her, she brought me to tears, and I said, no, hell, it's not. It's not too big for me. This is not too big for me. And it angered me. but it hurt me too. It angered me. And I looked at this verse, and this says, talks about the vision. What is our vision? What do we see when we read this? What do we see when we hear her voice? What is your vision? Who are you? Pastor said something, and this goes back to what George was talking about, that inner ear, that inner eye, that okay. A lot of people, as Audrey may have said at first, a lot of people may hear this video, but only a few people are going to hear it. Are people going to hear the words, but only a few are going to hear it. We are here for that purpose, to hear this and to see the vision. What is the vision? What do we see? Pastor just laid it out. What is the vision? Nothing is too big for us, y'all. Nothing is too big for us. So her pain is my pain. Her suffering, and talk about her family, that hurts deeply. But I also hear her strength, as you guys have already said. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Human. I'm experiencing something.
Yes, sir.
We have to really hear, not with our ears, but with our ear. Hear. We have to make a conscious effort to recognize the attributes that we gave to the herd of elephants. Stability, yes. Guidance, nurturing, stability is nothing without that. You can't maintain it. What am I saying to you? Let's stop playing games with masculine and feminine energy. Let's make a conscious effort to disassociate it from the way men and women live their lives and associate it with what the Creator intended to be. And that is hearing from the womb. Having the mother in the village. Because the mother of all brought all into this earth. And the mother of all nurtures all. And the mother of all guides all and encourages all. And the stability is for the express purpose of hearing the mother, hearing femininity. Let's stop seeing that as a woman and a man. And every time that comes up, we must correct that. We must leave this rut of a material world and live within the confines of the spiritual world, recognizing the power and the attributes of it. It is no accident. It is no coincidence. No matter how far you go back in history, it doesn't matter whether you're looking at the indigenous people of Okebelon or whether you're looking at the indigenous people of this country, the indigenous people of South America. It doesn't matter. Especially in Okebelon, especially in Africa. The oldest people on this earth, there's the spiritual deity is always feminine. It's always a goddess. It was so in Kemet throughout the Kushite kingdom, and order prevailed. When it shifted to male dominance, chaos prevailed. There was no guidance anymore. There was this sense of might makes right. I have the power to kill you so I can do what I want to do. That never happened when the goddess was in charge. What happened with femininity was compassion and empathy and nurturing and another chance, another opportunity. Embrace it, and I guarantee you, if you embrace it from the depth of your soul, your life will change immediately. You will see things differently. You will experience things differently. I heard her. And the tears came from my feminine compassion. Yet I understand that femininity is not dominant in me. I understand that. I also understand where femininity is dominant. Wisdom is presence. Wisdom is present where femininity is dominant. And you've listened at the teachings for quite some time. And though we who are dominated by masculine energy speak and see things and speak true things and give answers and explanations, what happens when those who are dominated by femininity speak? Everything is pulled together and is brought to a place where anybody can understand it. Details. A tapestry is woven. Knowledge, experience come from understanding. They come from understanding wisdom. And if you disrespect the energy of wisdom, how can you expect to understand wisdom? It's no coincidence. The colonizers, anything that the colonizers seek to destroy, you should embrace it. Anything the colonizers seek to push on you, you should resist it. no matter what it is. The lifestyle, the desires, you must resist it because that's not who you are. You will always be miserable until you be who you are. Love the source of wisdom. Always recognize it, never deny it. I'm not talking about your intellect. I'm not talking about your academics. None whatsoever. I'm talking about the wisdom that I got from Rosa Richard, the wisdom that I got from Miss Florence Adams, the wisdom that I got from so many older people, the wisdom that I got from Miss Olivia Smith, the wisdom that I have gotten from so many sources. The wisdom. Must be embraced and respected. So I'm not talking about academics. That's our problem now. We are academicians with the mindset of a colonizer. We must resist that. I have studied academically most of my life. And I have seen in my studies the things that we are talking about now. I saw it, I read it, I studied it, but I did not understand it until I sought to understand it with my soul and not my mind. My spiritual exploration of all of this has led me to a place where I recognize if the guidance in any society come from any source other than femininity, is chaotic. And it can be a woman in charge. I'm not talking about that at all. Golda Meir was a woman, but she still was chaotic. That's not what I'm talking about. Martha Thatcher was a woman, but she was chaotic because both of them emitted maleness from them. They were dominant. They chose rather to be dominated by masculinity than to allow the dominance of femininity to prevail, because they wanted to fit into a male-dominated society. That is not who we are, and we will never be that. And that is the reason we function as deranged people, because we are trying to function as the colonizer, as the enslavers function. And that causes us to be deranged. When we function the way that we were brought into this earth to function, when we process that way, when we embrace that source of wisdom, when we can hear in our hearts, "Hi, Mom," the TV thing, remind yourself of that. That's for a reason. That was during a time period when something from the depth of the soul was recognizing the goddess principle. But it got washed away with money. We must be who we are. Unapologetically Africans. Unapologetically children of a Kabbalah. Children of the Garden of Life. Children of the source of life, for all the earth. If it were not for the thievery from a cable line, none of the things that you enjoy in this earth would be possible. Remember who you are, not arrogantly, but remember who you are so you can be beneficial to humanity and not be a pain in humanity's butt. Don't be a stumbling block, be a pathway. I'm done.
Any questions, y'all? Anybody? Comments? I think this has been a very good session. Good place to take a pause then and ponder this. Actually, nothing else left needs to be said. Thank you, everyone. Your thoughts, your energy, your questions, your comments. Thank you. Have an awesome week, and I look forward to Saturday.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you,
night, guys.
everyone.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
Thank you.
night.
Bye.
Good night.
Take care, family.